Next on City Corner, we hit the links with the Gateway Golf Association. Please join us. Welcome to City Corner. I'm your host, Melanie Adams. Today, we're talking with members of the Gateway Golf Association, not only about their organization, but their upcoming event. Joining me today, we have Charles Smith, who is the General Chairperson of the Classic, as well as Keith Antone Willis, Public Relations Coordinator. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for inviting us.
Well, I think before we talk a little bit about your new inaugural event, I'd love to hear a little bit more about the association. Can you tell me just briefly, Charles, a little bit about the Gateway Golf Association?
The Gateway Golf Association is several golf clubs in the St. Louis community that have joined together to try to work together on annual events. We have T-Masters, we have Penn High. These are all names of golf clubs. And we also have added several members from Roof Park, from Eagle Springs, some of the golfers in the areas to assist us in this project. This year we're actually working with another non-golf group, which is called Employment Connections. They work on getting employment for people in the St. Louis area, and they do a lot of training.
Well, I think that's wonderful that this organization serves as an umbrella, because I think, as we were saying before, St. Louis is famous for lots of different organizations. So it's great that I think the Golf Association is really bringing people together here. And I think one of the specific things really is that it's an African-American Golf Association. And I don't know much about African-American and golfers, so I think it was wonderful to kind of learn a little bit more about this. But what do you think are some of the reasons you don't see a lot of African-Americans golfing?
The primary reason is most of us that play golf learned at an adult age, and primarily because our parents didn't play. And the costs associated with golf, whether the fees, the equipment, or access to clubs, have been prohibitive. And over the years, as some of us have gone into professional careers, most of our colleagues play. So we pick up the game and learn as we go. So a lot of us that have been around for a while have now realize we got to get back to the kids and try to introduce the game at an earlier age, not only from the game itself, but also from some of the social networking possibilities that you get out of golfing.
Right, and I think, Keith, you said something similar to that. Like one of you said, I think one of your regrets was that you didn't learn to play earlier.
Absolutely. I am one of the Tiger Wood Knights.
After on the bandwagon.
Yes. After Tiger won his inaugural green jacket, which is the jacket that you get at the Masters, I got excited about it. And to expound a little bit about what Charles was talking about was the accessibility. Now, and to be honest, I didn't see anybody that looked like me that golfed. I didn't know anybody. You know, I mean, my first bowling ball was from a neighbor who happened to be a bowler, and then my baseball and all of that stuff. You can kind of pick that up and do that in your yard or at the schoolyard. But having access to golf courses, and we would ride by a golf course frequently to visit relatives, and I never seen anybody that looked like me. And so I always thought it was a sport for older, white, rich men. And so I picked up the game later. And as I told you earlier, my only regrets is that I didn't learn at an earlier age and that I don't have much time to play as often as I like. But so we can reverse that. Both Charles and I have children that we're introducing to the game. Both of my sons participated in the very popular First Tee program. My wife is a golfer, and so you know, my entire family, we're golfers. And so we enjoy the game and the networking aspect of the game of golf, and all that it brings. You know, the man that taught me the game of golf was 80 years old at the time that he taught me the game, and he was still playing at 80 years old 2-3 times a week.
Well, and I think it's really interesting because something you brought up in terms of golf is it really is also about networking.
Precisely.
And it's interesting that, you know, sports for African Americans, you think more football, you're thinking basketball, you're thinking of non-network sports, whereas you have more white individuals who are on the golf course making business deals while you're out playing basketball. So it makes sense that we're trying to get more African Americans on the golf course, because unfortunately that's where a lot of decisions are being made. And if you don't play, you can't make the decisions.
You're absolutely correct. Over at Highlands, which I've been a member for 20 years, most of the members are over 70, and almost every member there have a nice story to share how they made their riches.
They're millions.
And they enjoy over a 3-hour course of playing a 9-hole game of sharing it with you.
Right.
And I've actually talked to an attorney who actually says my first client I didn't charge, the second client didn't charge, and he just invested 5% in the company. And over the course of 30 years, he's now the CEO of that company. And he says, just don't go at your clients too rough. Just tell them that you want to work with them and watch them grow. And that's all through a golf game.
Right, it sounds like it's leadership development.
Precisely.
That's exactly what that sounds like. Yeah. Well, and then we also were talking, because I mentioned, you know, where were the golf courses in St. Louis City, and I think I was surprised, I don't know why, that they're really the only public golf course is Forest Park.
Right, well, Forest Park has 2 courses.
Courses, right.
One is called AAA for some people, and Highlands for others. That's the new name, but apparently it's the old name. And then over at Propstein, there's 27 holes, and one is actually flat, which most of the public play. The other 2 courses are actually hilly, and but they get a lot of play. And almost every day there's a tournament or some event going on associated with that course.
Well, what are some things that the organizations are doing to get more young people involved? Because I think we spoke briefly, and there aren't really a lot of high school city teams. I think you mentioned maybe Vashon has a high school city team, but what are you doing to get younger kids involved in golf?
Some of us that have kids, we were actually taking the kids out, but even some of the programs that are locally, Youth and Family Center is a local agency, and we started a golf program there several years ago. And it actually didn't go anywhere, but we're trying to restart it again. And we asked some of the golfers from different leagues to come volunteer. So we've been handpicking organizations and trying to get them to introduce the game to the younger people as an alternative sport. There are kids that don't fit into the football mode or basketball mode or any other mode, and usually golf is one of those games you can play the rest of your life. And we try to plant that seed early.
Well, I think kind of what you're doing is similar to what Keith was saying, that you're letting the young people see people that look like them on the golf course.
Precisely.
So for some people, it might have been Tiger Woods, but it's like, that's only one person. I need to see the little kid down the street playing golf, so I know it's somewhat cool versus just seeing a Tiger Woods playing golf. So I think, you know, that's really part of the important part of this whole picture for it. And I think the other thing to reiterate, it's boys and girls, because a lot of times I think people make the assumption that we're automatically talking about boys, but your program does work with both.
And actually some of their local heroes, Michael Jordan plays golf.
Right.
Charles Barkley's got the worst swing in golf, and that comes up quite often in a lot of the NBA games. And then almost all the local sports figures are playing golf. So you hear not just the average golfer talking about, but the hockey players that play golf, they share stories. And there's all kinds of tournaments around, which are a fundraiser by nature, but exposing more people to the game of golf. And
to that point, I mean, it's interesting that Charles had brought that up. I mean, because golf is a life sport. One of our local heroes that went to the Hall of Fame, Marshall Faulk, was actually what we call a scratch golfer. Marshall could probably go out and compete week in and week out with the pros. He's that
Now,
good.
what's a scratch golfer? I don't understand.
That means you're really, really good.
Okay, so you're not pro, but your scratch is
scratch is score. When you go out the first, if you're playing the course even, it's called par.
Okay.
If you're one underneath, it's birdie.
Okay.
And it's eagle. And most of golfers are bogey golfers. I mean, they're playing one over.
Okay.
I'm actually a bogey golfer. So when I say 10 to 15 for a handicap, that means that I've got maybe a couple pars and mostly bogeys. But the average player, through their lifetime, would probably be more bogey. When you get people like Marshall Faulk mentioned, that are scratch golfer, they're playing that course not only even, but they're probably playing a tougher course. And that means that they've got the game pretty much down in terms of
That's what it's like. When did he
all
have
the
time
strokes.
to be practicing golf?
Well, he makes time.
Right. Well, I think that's one of the things we spoke about, in addition to not only having the financial resources to be able to play golf for kids, you have to have the time, because it's the sport you have to practice regularly. You can't start playing and play once a week, once every 2 weeks, and think you're going to catch on.
Which is a good point. Most of the traditional golfers that are in pro right now were country club kids.
Right.
So they started with a good trainer, somebody that taught them how to swing properly.
And I think we have some images of some golfers out here.
And actually, one of our prized people is Booker Ford. He taught everybody. He was 85 when he died, but over the years, he's probably taught over 1,000 people, and females, males, all kinds of kids. And he dedicated his life and teaching us how to perfect our games.
Right, and I think, and it's such it's so nice that Keith said that it's a lifetime sport, because I know one of the things we're talking about right now is a lot with kids and obesity and getting them moving, and it's like, as long as you're not in the cart, you know, but if you're walking around, you can play golf forever. It's not something where your knees are going to go out, you're going to have other injuries. And I think there are also probably some other benefits in terms of just it's a good way to relax and psychologically. So really trying to find a way for kids to channel their energy in another direction.
Well, to echo on that, when you said there's some other benefits of the game, and I think that, you know, patience, sportsmanship, there is a code of ethics out there that we have to, you know, rules and regulations that you follow, just like in real life. And then the competitiveness. You can take a big, strong guy like Charles and take a little skinny guy, half his size, and this little skinny guy and shorter may hit the ball 300 yards, and Charles and I are hitting it 100 yards.
Right.
So it equals out based on the amount of time that you put into it, and I think that that's another reason why this isn't like the taller you are, you can dunk, or the faster you are, you can outrun. This game, for all size, shapes, forms, female, I mean, there's some women out there that will tear us up one side of the course and down the other. I mean, they do, but they play every day, and they're serious about it. They put the time in it, and it's like with anything, whether it be, you know, golf, chess, whatever you want to do. The more time you put in it, the much better that you're going to be. But you're right, there are so many other benefits of this game that I just think that it's a game that, as I shared with you, that I regret that I don't have enough time to play it as often, and that I didn't start earlier. But I'm glad that I've been able to introduce it to my kids, and that through the Booker T. Ford
and I think we're going to
Classic.
Right. And coming up in the second segment, we are going to talk a little bit more about the Booker Ford Classic. So you can tell us a little bit about who he is and how people can get involved in the Classic. So please stay tuned.
Experience St. Louis.
So I asked my uncle, what's a special interest? He says they run Washington. He said they're groups of special interest in getting bills through Congress or the State House. So I said, I'm a Boy Scout, and our supporters help make a difference by educating elected officials on issues. Does that make me a special interest too? I guess my uncle thinks the Boy Scouts are helping to run Washington. Am I missing something?
Learn more about American democracy by logging on to representativedemocracy.org.
Packers. Viking. Packers. Viking. Viking.
Red state, blue state, vegan.
Carnivore.
We come from different places.
Uptown.
Downtown.
Optimist.
We come to different conclusions.
Half empty.
Half full.
But when we live united, we create real, lasting change in the building blocks of life. The education, income, and health of our communities, our families, even the person next to us.
Live united.
Real change won't happen without you. So give advocate, volunteer. Live United. Sign up at liveunited.org.
Cook foods to the right temperature using a food thermometer. 3,000 Americans will die from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
Welcome back to City Corner. Today we're talking with the Gateway Golf Association, and joining us now we have Charles Smith, who is the chairperson of the event, as well as Keith Antone Willis, who is the public relations coordinator. Well, I think before the break I said we'd have this opportunity to talk about the event, but first I want to talk a little bit about Booker Ford and learn a little bit about who he is and why the event is named after him.
Okay. Booker Ford was a fellow golfer in St. Louis. He was about in his mid-80s when he lost his life. Booker Ford had spent time in the Navy, and over the course of his life, he played with Gerald Ford, he played with Tiger Woods, he played with almost all the famous people along the way. In addition to that, about 50 years ago, he started dedicating a lot of his playing time to teaching kids and introducing people to golf. And the last 20 years, he taught at Roof Park. He helped out with some junior golf programs at Eagle Springs. But he's always kept his game up. During his course of his life, he hardly ever lost. 2 years ago, he won the Senior Olympics, and I saw a plaque that he got from President Obama for winning that. That was the game came to him after he passed. But I've known him for 20 years, and
I think we have some images of him on the screen.
He also owned several. He was a big jazz. I think he played saxophone at one point in his life.
Right, I saw he owned some nightclubs.
Right, but he was a well-rounded person. He actually loved his music as much as his golf, and most of the people that knew him knew that he played hard golf during the day, but he likes his jazz and stuff in the evenings. And he was just a well-rounded, good person that just, when he introduced to the game, he showed you the enthusiasm side of the game, and then he took time of breaking down your swings and sharing tricks that worked for him in the past in terms of learning the game.
Okay. Well, Keith, tell us a little bit about the tournament. First, obviously, starting with the dates and what people can expect if they participate.
Well, it's going to be 3 days of activities. We're expecting teams from around the Midwest region, Kansas City, Memphis, Chicago, Indianapolis, Nashville. Some teams may come as far as Florida, because what is happening here, when you take all of these African-American golf clubs that have come together to make the Gateway Golf Association, they've got friends and family that play in other golf associations, African-American golf associations around the country, who we're inviting in. So they'll get in on Friday, July 13th, and we'll have some camaraderie and some things for the golfers that come in on Friday. Saturday and Sunday, both tournament days. Saturday night, we'll have a big dance that'll be open to the public, and as you said earlier, some non-golfer activities. Right. They'll be invited. There's going to be a couple of events that the public will be invited out. When I say the public, I'm talking about the general public. Right. Will be invited out, and we hope folks come out, for the tournament. For more information, the number's there, 314-260-1242. But let me make one thing clear. One thing about it, this may be an association and it's named after an African American, but Booker played in sometimes tournaments and sometimes when he would be the only African American. So this is for any golfer who wants to come and participate in 2 days worth of competition, prizes, and networking. But also for those that know that we're going to take this money and we're going to keep this money in this community to help with scholarships, to help with learning opportunities for youth. So there's a number of things that we're going to take this money, and keep it right here. And this is not just a one-time deal. This will become an annual event, and hopefully we'll be able to take it not only here in St. Louis, but then we'll, maybe another part of the year, maybe in January and February when it's really cold here, we can do tournaments in other parts of the country. But this is going to be an annual event. This is the inaugural tournament, and we know that Booker had touched, as Charles said, thousands of people. He had a very infectious smile, and that's the thing I remember about him. He would smile while he was kicking your butt out on that golf course, okay? He'd smile while he was tearing you up, okay? But he had a love and a respect for this game. He loved this game. He took it very seriously, and he taught people the fundamentals, and he enjoyed it. I've never seen anybody embrace something as much as he has. And he played, got to remember, when he started, you couldn't even be African American and be on.
Right, I was going to ask, like, where would he have played? Because it would have been all segregated, segregated areas.
Well, a good question. A lot of the older black golfers were caddies first. And a caddy for a golfer is somebody that carries their bags, helps them with club selection, and spend a lot of time around the golf course. And when you start talking to the African Americans at over 70 years old, most of them were introduced to the game either because they worked at a country club and played on that Monday, or they were a caddy for a fellow golfer, or not a fellow golfer, a golfer that needed them, that probably wasn't their color.
Right, but it's interesting you said that one of the things they do is help you select your club. You'd have to know how to play golf to know which club to give them, wouldn't you?
They were oftentimes better golfers than the guys they were carrying the bags for. Now when you look on television, again, things have changed. There is no African American caddies out there.
Very few.
Or very few,
right.
Okay? Because see, what you should know is that caddies get 10% of the purse, okay?
Oh, okay.
So when that golfer gets $1 million, the caddy gets $100,000, okay? And the inventor of the golf tee was an African American. See, we've been in this game for a long, long time. It's like a lot of things but the history, it's been watered down a little bit, and through the years we've lost that, and the fact that when we started, we were those caddies, and they were very good golfers because on the days that the golf club usually was closed, on Mondays, the caddies can get out and play sun up to sundown.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that was one of the perks. Okay, and so, we have, as African Americans, been around this game since the beginning. And just, just on another topic, just because it just happened with the Kentucky Derby. Right. When the Kentucky Derby started, 3 of the first 5 Kentucky Derby winners were African American jockeys.
Oh,
okay. So so this is where golf and all of these things, there's a history behind it. And, that's why the History Museum is one of my favorite places. No, seriously, it's a shameless plug.
It tells you that there's a foundation there, so kids don't think all of a sudden like, wow, there are no African-American golfers before Tiger Woods. And it's like, no, there actually are a lot before Tiger, but they didn't have the same type of opportunities to play in the Masters and to get the green jacket and to do all of that.
That's exactly right. And we've had other African-Americans that have run for president of the United States before, too.
Right.
Now, back on the golf tip, some of the present better golfers in town came through our junior golf programs.
Oh, okay.
Ashley Nix, for one, she's a college graduate. She teaches the first tee program at Highlands, and she's got several other golfers that played during the same time she's playing that are now college college golfers that have made that conversion. She's got her PGA card, and she loves the game, but she started off as a track star, basketball, and got introduced to the game at about 13, 14. And by the time she graduated, she had a full scholarship to play golf. When she left school, she was like the regional championship, and she's continued her golf accolades over at Highlands. So that's coming right out of our junior golf program, of which Booker Ford was part of.
Right. Well, as part of the inaugural tournament, are you doing something like to teach people how to play golf? So do you have anything for beginners who are like, I just want to learn how to hit the ball?
We will have set up during those 2 days for the non-golfers, a lot of different people set up to give you some demonstrations on putting, chipping, and driver. And some of the sponsors actually will come and actually have some demo days to share some of that for people that want to learn.
Right. Well, let's talk a little bit about, okay, I know you've given us kind of the phone number and the website, but there's still, obviously, you can still sign up for the golf tournament. It's in teams of 4. I think it was really important that you said.
Not necessarily teams of 4.
Oh, okay.
This is a 2-day stroke tournament.
Okay.
So most people like playing with their friends the first day, and the second day, actually, whatever their score is the first day will be the group they would play in.
Oh,
so
okay.
unlike a lot of tournaments that are scrambles, this is an individual golf tournament where you're actually playing for yourself.
Okay.
And my friends go from championship players to D players. They're still my friends, but they can all play on the same day together.
Are you talking about me?
By the next day, we have like 7 different categories for golfers. Plus, we have a women's category. We have super seniors and seniors. And seniors is 55, super seniors 65.
Okay.
And there are a lot of golfers now over that age that are playing, but they don't want to necessarily be hitting from the same tees as the 30-year-old. And or competing at that level.
Right.
So to encourage more people to come out, we make sure that we had enough categories to fit everybody.
Right.
And if we wanted to be the champion, we want them to come. And we were trying to encourage as many females to come out to play as we are males. So and some of the people participating in the Gateway are some of these groups that are playing at Forest Park that are basically women golf leagues.
Right.
Participants.
And are there also youth opportunities? Is that an age category, or is it just with the youth
Not
are just going to
during
be
the
playing with the
tournament.
other?
We have some youth that will be volunteers.
Oh, okay.
Right.
And as volunteers, we have some goodie bags for them.
Right.
We have some other things during the tournament that they would enjoy that are not part of the golf.
Right. Well, that's another great way for the non-golfers to be involved. You need volunteers to work
Exactly.
both of those days, and they can call the same number.
Call the same number, and really we're looking for some sponsors and some partners who want to help keep Booker's vision alive and the wonderful work that he did in this community. So, with all these events, it does take money. And although this is a nonprofit organization, we still need to make a profit in order to pay for all of the things that has to be paid for, but more importantly, to be able to take that money and keep it right here in our community and invest back in our community. And, eventually we want to be able to have, as we shared with you earlier off camera, an exhibit highlighting and teaching history of African-American golfers, and not only in St. Louis, but in this country. And that's important. And so we're hoping that sponsors will not only have golfers, but come out and want to sponsor some of the events, the banquet. We'll take prizes. We need prizes for golfers. So we're asking, your viewing audience of people that have the means to support the organization.
And I think, we've had a wonderful time here talking about it. I've learned so much about African-American golf here in St. Louis, and I really encourage all of our viewers to support the organization. Please check out their website, see what you can do, and join us next time here on City Corner.
Thank you.